I sat in that overdecorated therapy room like a stranger at my own funeral. Not a single picture on the wall meant anything to me. Neutral tones, fake plants, a soft ticking clock that didn't tick fast enough. I didn't want to be there. I hadn't asked for it. But I went to therapy for them. Not for me. Not because I was the problem. Because I was told it was the next step. That maybe hearing a professional say what I'd been saying for years would make the kids listen. That maybe, just maybe, if I sat there long enough, quietly enough, they'd finally see me. They didn't. Derek, 17, angry, full of his father's jawline and none of his responsibility, stared across the room like we were on opposite ends of a battlefield. Savannah, 15, colder than winter, perched next to her mother like a loyal little guard dog. Didn't even look at me. I was the one who drove them here, paid the bill, nodded when Linda said we needed a safe space to talk. And then Derek, that boy I'd helped raise since he was 5, looked me in the eye and said, "I don't respect you." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't blink. He just delivered the sentence like a judge passing a verdict. Final, cold, absolute. I waited. I waited for Linda to clear her throat, maybe tell him to mind his tone. I waited for the therapist to interject, to unpack it gently, ask where that's coming from. But the silence was heavy and long and unchallenged. Then Savannah, still staring at the rug like it might whisper her lines, added, "You're just Mom's husband, not our dad. Just Mom's husband." I don't know why that word hit me harder than the rest. I'd paid for her braces. I helped her with her science fair projects. I walked her through her first panic attack when she couldn't breathe before her algebra final. And I was just Mom's husband? I turned to Linda. She didn't cry, didn't protest. She looked at the therapist, then at her lap, like she was embarrassed for me, not by them. That's when I knew. I wasn't sitting in a therapy session. I was attending a ceremony, one where they finally buried me. I turned to the therapist, nodded politely, and said, "Thank you. Then as of today, I'm done paying for anything that doesn't have my name on it." She blinked. Derek smirked. A twitch in the corner of his mouth that told me everything he'd never said out loud. Savannah didn't flinch. Linda looked up, startled, lips parting slightly, but still said nothing. The therapist began to speak, something about revisiting the topic, letting emotions settle. But I'd already stood. The session ended there. There was supposed to be a follow-up. It never happened. We drove home in silence. Derek wore his earbuds. Savannah stared out the window. Linda sat up front, hands clenched in her lap. I dropped them at the house, didn't even pull fully into the driveway. Linda asked if I was coming in. I said I had errands. I lied. I drove around for almost 2 hours, just circling the same 5 blocks, passing the same gas station, the same fast food place, the same red light that never turned green fast enough. I wasn't ready to walk into that house, because if I did, I'd have to look at the framed photos I paid to have printed. I'd have to walk past the kitchen table I built, past the couch where Savannah learned to read, past the hallway where Derek once broke his arm roughhousing. And I was the one who drove him to the ER because Linda was at work and his father was unreachable. When I finally came home, the house was empty. The kids were out somewhere. Linda had gone shopping. She left a note, "Back soon. Let's talk." I ignored it. I went into the office, the one room they never touched, the only space that still felt like it was mine. I opened the drawer where we kept the tax files, searched for something, anything I could control. And that's when I found it. An old blue folder, tucked behind an envelope from the water company and a stack of W-2s. It was dusty, thick with age. My mother's handwriting on the tab. Sharp, precise. In case they ever forget who you are, remind them. I don't remember her giving it to me. Probably after my wedding. Probably one of those quiet, passive gestures she thought I'd understand in time. I always thought she was paranoid, too old school, too cold. Turns out, she knew something I didn't. Inside the folder were copies of contracts. Every one of them with my signature. My name, my bank account, the car loan Linda drove on, the lease agreement for the house. The insurance policies: life, dental, health for Savannah and Derek. The old college savings plan I'd opened in Derek's name when he turned 10. All underwritten by me. Not jointly. Not co-signed. Me. I opened my laptop. Logged into the accounts. 47 minutes and 4 phone calls later, the agreements were canceled, reassigned, or revoked. Not with malice. Not with vengeance. Just signatures. Just facts. I didn't shout. Didn't warn. I just walked away, financially, surgically, permanently. That night, Linda got a call from Savannah's school about an unpaid tutoring invoice. She walked into the office holding the phone, her face pale, confused. "Did you forget to pay something?" I didn't answer. In her inbox, one quiet email titled, "Confirmation of withdrawal from joint financial responsibility." I didn't see her cry. Not then. Not yet. But her hand trembled when she read it. Later that night, I heard Derek on the phone upstairs. Something about, "Why isn't the gas card working?" The next morning, Savannah asked if I could drive her to band rehearsal. I told her to ask her mother. She didn't thank me. She just scoffed and said, "Ugh, you're so dramatic." I laughed once. Not because it was funny, because it was the first honest thing anyone had said in that house in years. That weekend, Linda said we needed to talk. I told her, "Talk to the man who pays your bills." She didn't laugh. She just stood there, caught between the role of wife, mother, and silent witness. And now she had to pick a side. She didn't pick mine. I called Clark Jenkins the next morning. Old friend. Older instincts. Former family lawyer turned corporate counsel who still answered my calls without letting them go to voicemail. He picked up on the second ring. "Harry," he said, "been a while. Do you still have copies of our filings?" I asked. "The prenup?" he replied. Already sifting through the mental cabinet I knew he kept organized better than his kitchen. "That and the rest," I said. "The deeds, the policies, the joint accounts. I need everything I ever signed." He paused. "What happened?" I didn't answer. Not with words. Silence did the work. Then he exhaled. A long, knowing breath that said he'd seen this pattern before. "Don't retaliate angry," he warned. "Let them feel the fallout. Take back what's yours. And wait." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. That same night, I had every document printed again. Notarized. Sorted into envelopes. Clean copies, no coffee stains. No room for ambiguity. Property title. Bank account amendments. Insurance contact updates. Retirement allocations. Account beneficiary changes. Each one a quiet extraction from a family that had never claimed me. I didn't tell Linda. I just made the changes. The next morning, she found one of the envelopes in the kitchen. It had been misdelivered, or maybe I'd left it there on purpose. She opened it over her cereal. Her hands stopped moving when she reached the phrase, "Primary owner rights updated. Harry Connolly, sole authority." She didn't speak. Not then. But an hour later, she asked to talk. We stood in the backyard, where I had built the patio brick by brick one summer. Derek had never helped. Savannah had watched from her phone. Linda had brought me lemonade and compliments, then vanished. Now she stood on the same patio like it was foreign ground. "You didn't have to cut everyone out," she said. "I didn't cut anyone," I replied. "I just stopped financing the illusion." Her mouth tightened. She wasn't used to hearing truth without a buffer. "They're kids," she said, but her voice wavered. "They were old enough to speak," I said. "Old enough to draw the line." I just followed it. "This isn't fair," she tried again, but her tone didn't match her words. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. Fair had left the house years ago. Later that afternoon, she tried to pay the rent online, and found out the lease was no longer in her name. The message was clear. Insufficient access privileges. Please contact the account holder. She checked the insurance next. Savannah's dental? No longer covered. Derek's accident waiver for football? Expired. No renewal pending. Then came the school invoice, this time forwarded directly to her inbox, addressed only to Mrs. Linda Martin, with a new subject line, Delinquent balance. Parental attention required. She cursed under her breath in the hallway. That night, she opened her email. Waiting at the top was the second message. Notice of removed access. Joint checking account. Her name was gone from the bank. The card in her wallet might as well have belonged to a stranger now. I'd left her enough, just enough, to cover her personal account. The rest? Mine again. She stood in the doorway of my office and held the printed notification like it was evidence. You're punishing them, she said. No, I replied, eyes on my screen. I'm punishing myself less. She didn't like that answer, but she didn't offer a better one. That night, she didn't come to bed. I didn't notice until morning. I slept like a stone. The next few days turned quiet in the way a battlefield does after both sides run out of ammunition. No yelling. No slamming doors. Just tension stretched thin like wire, ready to snap if anyone so much as breathed wrong. Linda began taking her meals alone. Derek stayed in his room longer, probably texting his father, the great absentee hero whose name still held more weight than my years ever did. Savannah posted something cryptic online. A black and white photo of a wilted flower. A caption about being betrayed by the ones you trust. I didn't respond. No one cooked. No one laughed. The house shrank in on itself, room by room. On the 5th day, Linda tried again. This time she didn't knock. She just came into the office, holding a grocery list like it was an olive branch. Are you still covering the Costco membership? She asked. No, I replied. That was under the joint card. She waited. When I didn't elaborate, she turned to leave. They're hurting, she said over her shoulder. Then maybe they'll learn something, I said. She closed the door behind her. Not softly. That Sunday, Clark called back. He had found an older agreement I'd forgotten. An education trust one had set up for Savannah when she was 12, in case her biological father ever resurfaced and tried to claim credit. Want me to terminate it? He asked. No, I said. Let it sit. Let her look at the balance and wonder why it froze. Harry, let them feel it, Clark. All of it. He didn't argue. He just said, call me if you change your mind. I didn't. On Monday, Derek's coach called. Said the waiver hadn't gone through. Said if we didn't update the insurance by Friday, Derek would be benched. Linda emailed me the message. Forwarded. No text. No subject line. I didn't reply. The next morning, Savannah came downstairs and stood in the kitchen, waiting for a ride to school. I looked up from my coffee. Mom said you'd take me. Your mom assumed wrong. She stared at me, confused. You always do, she said. Not anymore, I answered. She didn't ask again. She called an Uber. Her school sent Linda another invoice the following day. I read it over her shoulder at the kitchen table. She didn't push it away. She just sat there, eyes hollow, mouth set in that same line she used when pretending not to panic. I said nothing. Let the numbers speak. Wednesday came with more silence. No one asked for dinner. No one asked about bills. No one asked why the car was missing from the driveway, the one Derek used to borrow on weekends. I'd taken it into the city. Got it retitled under my name alone. Insurance updated. Locks changed. When Derek asked about it Thursday morning, I didn't look up from my newspaper. Did you move the car? He asked. No, I said. Well, it's not outside. I know. He waited, fuming. So where is it? Not yours, I said. He turned and stormed out. Linda followed him. I heard her say something about rights and boundaries, and this isn't helping. She was wrong. It was helping. For the first time in 17 years, I felt like I was standing on level ground, not buried beneath it. That night I stood in the garage, stared at the empty shelves where their sports gear used to sit, the old lawn chairs, the cooler I'd bought for our first blended family trip to the lake. All gone. Not stolen. Removed. Erased. I boxed it all up the day after therapy. Donated what I could. Burned what I couldn't. Kept only one thing. A framed photo from 5 years ago. All of us at the Grand Canyon. Derek forcing a smile. Savannah mid-eye roll. Linda leaning into me like we still mattered. I flipped the frame. On the back, in Linda's handwriting, "Our real family begins here." I left it in the trash. That's not where our family began. It's where the lie started. 3 nights later, she knocked on the bathroom door. I was shaving. She didn't wait for an answer, just pushed it open and stood there, barefoot, holding a towel like it gave her leverage. "We need to talk." I wiped the blade clean. "We did. Not like this," she said. "Not with lawyers." "There are no lawyers," I replied. "Yet." She sighed. That drawn-out exhale meant to signal exhaustion, not apology. She was trying to be reasonable now. She always found her civility when something was at risk. I had seen this version of Linda before. Voice softened, back straight, sentences framed like negotiations. She thought this was salvageable. It wasn't. "You didn't have to take everything," she said. "I didn't take everything. I took what was mine." I turned off the faucet. The drip, the silence, the humming pipe. It all filled the space she once occupied. She shifted her weight. "What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry?" "No," I said. "I want you to say nothing. Same as you did in that therapy session." That landed harder than I expected. Her shoulders flinched. "Good. You're angry," she said. "No," I corrected. "I'm clear." I stepped past her, towel over my shoulder, razor still wet in my hand. She followed me down the hallway. "You're blowing up everything over one session, over what the kids said." I stopped at the door to my office, turned. That wasn't the beginning. That was the verdict. She didn't follow me inside. She didn't have to. There was an envelope already waiting on the desk. Her name, my signature. No theatrics, no speeches. Just the end printed, signed, dated. Divorce papers. She saw it through the glass. The way her face dropped told me she hadn't expected it so soon. Maybe she thought I was bluffing, that I'd wait, that I'd flinch. I didn't. "You're not even going to talk to me about this?" "There's nothing left to discuss," I said. "What's not mine, I've left behind. What was mine, I've already taken with me." She stared at me like I was a stranger in the house I built. But I wasn't the stranger. She was. I moved into a small apartment in Springfield. Closer to work. Cheaper. Cleaner. The kind of place where no one left shoes in the hallway or demanded you explain why you weren't smiling. I kept the car. It was in my name. The furniture? Sold most of it. Gave the rest away. The wedding photos went in a box. I left it on the porch before I left. No note. She didn't call. Not that day. But the emails came. Short ones. Then longer. Then 3 missed calls. Then silence again. I started sleeping better. Woke up rested. Not rehearsing arguments in my head. I stopped drinking coffee after 3 p.m. Started leaving my phone outside the bedroom again. Bought real sheets, not just the ones on sale. Work offered me a temporary promotion. Just logistics, nothing glamorous. But it felt like being seen. I took it. Old friends I hadn't heard from in years started texting. Invited me out. Said they'd been meaning to reach out, but weren't sure how things were. I told them the truth. Things are quiet. That was enough. 2 weeks after the move, I returned to the house once. Not for closure. For documents. Tax forms. Birth certificates. The last box from the garage that held the paperwork I never trusted to a shredder. Linda wasn't home. Savannah's shoes were by the door. Derek's gym bag spilled open in the hallway. I ignored it all. Went straight to the office. Found the box. On top was a manila envelope labeled Dad's Things, in Savannah's handwriting. I paused. Opened it. Inside, receipts. Contracts. Photos of the car I gave her. A thank you card I never received, half-written. Never sent. I put it back. Left it there. When I left the house, I didn't look back. Linda emailed again a week later. Subject line: "Can we talk?" Body: "Not about money. About the kids." I didn't reply. She called that night. I let it ring. Then again. Then once more, voicemail this time. "Harry, I know things got ugly. I know the session hurt you, but they're kids. They were just venting. You know they don't mean it. They're lost without you. Please, come by. Just talk. I deleted the message. She didn't call again for 5 days. When she did, her voice had changed. Lighter, but less human. We need to discuss logistics, car insurance, property split, the kids' schedules. She was negotiating again. I didn't answer. A week later, her attorney emailed me. That was expected. The next court date is in 2 months. Clark's handling it. He says it'll be clean. No alimony. No custody. No child support. Just property lines and final signatures. The kids are old enough to pick sides. They already have. They picked early. Picked often. Picked loudly. Now I'm doing the same. One night, just before bed, I got a message from Derek. Not a call. A text. Just 3 words. You ruined everything. No greeting. No punctuation. No ownership. I stared at it for a long time. Typed a reply. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. Finally, I wrote, I built everything you had. You threw it away. Sent. Blocked him. The next morning, I changed my number. Springfield grew on me faster than expected. The apartment was small but mine. No footsteps overhead. No slammed doors. No whispered conversations after midnight. I started walking again. Just a few blocks at first. Then longer. Breathed deeper. Laughed more. Said yes to things I used to avoid. A colleague invited me to her daughter's piano recital. I went. Sat in the back. Clapped politely. Didn't think about Savannah once. Didn't check my phone once. On the walk home, I passed a group of teenagers. One of them said, Hey man, you got a light? I shook my head. He laughed. Didn't think so. They moved on. And I realized I wasn't angry. Not at Derek. Not at Savannah. Not even at Linda. I was just done. They'll keep living in the house for now. Lease ends in 8 months. I doubt she'll renew. She doesn't have the income. The new bills are hers alone. The car repairs. The health premiums. The dental appointments. She'll learn what I paid for. What I built. What I carried in silence for 17 years. They will too. One invoice at a time. Sometimes I wonder what story she's telling them now. That I abandoned them? That I went cold? That I snapped after one little argument? But truth has a paper trail. And mine is 47 pages long. All signed. All notarized. All legal. I didn't leave a family. I exited a transaction that never honored its end. At night, I sleep with the window cracked open. The city's quieter than I thought. I dream better now. No more therapy rooms. No more silent dinners. No more waiting to be chosen. I chose myself. At last. Weeks passed. Not a word from Linda. Not a word from Derek. Not a word from Savannah. No texts. No calls. No emails. Just silence. The same kind they gave me that day in the therapist's office now returned with interest. Mail started arriving at my new address, forwarded from the old one. Insurance notices. School invoices. A bill from the dentist, unpaid, marked final. A red warning label across the top of the envelope. Coverage lapsed. I didn't open it. Just added it to the stack. They weren't my dependents anymore. They made that clear. And now the paperwork agreed with them. It's strange how fast a life collapses when the scaffolding vanishes. A few quiet weeks, that's all it took. The emails from Savannah's school came first. Something about an overdue fee for extracurriculars. Then another tutoring suspension. Then one more. Financial aid in review due to missing sponsor. Linda forwarded me the first one. I didn't respond. She didn't forward the second. By the third, she had stopped trying. A voicemail from Derek's football coach followed. We still haven't received the waiver forms or coverage update. I know you were handling this before. If you're no longer involved, please disregard. I disregarded it. Didn't even listen to the end. Linda finally broke the silence 2 months after the divorce papers were filed. A text. Please call me. It's important. I didn't, so she emailed. Subject line, urgent. Body, Derek's been injured. Practice. Sprained ankle. Nothing serious. But we didn't have updated insurance. They billed full price. Please, just for this. She attached the invoice. I clicked it open. $1,140. 00. Urgent care. Out of network. No coverage. No apologies. No acknowledgement of the fact that I had carried that policy for 10 years. I closed the tab. No reply. She tried again the next day. This time longer. More desperate. Harry, I know you're angry, but the kids are struggling. We're struggling. Savannah might lose her place in the advanced program if we don't pay the balance. I never thought you'd cut them off like this. They're your family. No, they weren't. I saw Derek at a gas station once. He didn't see me, or maybe he did but chose to look away. He was pumping fuel into a rusted old sedan. Not the car I bought. That was probably long gone. Repoed. Sold. Or maybe he crashed it. He wasn't careful. He looked thinner. Hair longer. He wore a hoodie with the hood up, despite the heat. His phone was cracked. His shoes were the same ones I'd bought for him 2 years ago. I watched him fumble with a card. Swipe. Declined. He checked the screen. Tried again. Declined. He stood there for a moment, staring at the pump like it owed him an answer. Then he walked inside. I drove off. Didn't honk. Didn't wave. Didn't help. He said I wasn't his father. Now he was right. Savannah sent a message 3 days later. Not an apology. Not a conversation. Just a screenshot of her school portal. Balance due, $482. 00. Caption, happy. I stared at it for a long time. Deleted it. No reply. She tried again with a second screenshot. This one from a rideshare app. Her account suspended for non-payment. Caption, cool. Guess I'll walk. I thought of the nights I drove her across town to her friend's house because Mom was too tired. Thought of the ice cream runs. The movie tickets. The hoodie she once stole from my closet and wore for a week because it smelled like safety. She had said that once. Years ago. Before she found her voice. Before she used it to cut me clean. The court finalized the divorce on a Wednesday morning. 10 minutes. A few signatures. Linda didn't show. Her lawyer did. Clark shook my hand when it was done. That's it, he said. I nodded. How do you feel? He asked it like he was bracing for regret. But I didn't feel hollow. I felt clean. The next day, I got an email from Linda's attorney. Subject. Outstanding expenses. Consideration request. Body. Client seeks to confirm whether Mr. Connolly would be willing to resume partial contributions to the children's education or medical care in light of recent financial strain. Attached. Charts, tables, breakdowns. Proof of suffering. Proof of reliance. Proof that I had mattered. I didn't open the attachment. Didn't reply. Marked it as spam. Springfield got colder. Fall came early. I bought a coat. The same day I walked past a bookstore downtown. There was a flyer in the window. Parenting Through Estrangement, free workshop. I didn't go in, but I stood outside for a while. Read the flyer 3 times. Estrangement. They made it sound clinical, like a fever that breaks. But this wasn't an illness. It was surgery. Necessary. Precise. Curative. One night, I came home and found a letter in my mailbox. No stamp. Hand-delivered. No return address. Just a scribbled line. From Savannah. Inside, folded notebook paper. Blue ink. Smudged. I didn't mean it. 3 words. Then below. Smaller. But I did say it. No apology. Just that. No promise to do better. No request to return. Just guilt. She was learning. Late. But still. I folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, and set it in a drawer. Didn't burn it. Didn't answer. Just let it sit, like all the other things they never said. Christmas came. No invitation. No tree. No gifts. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, no fake cheer. No manufactured joy. Just peace. I made dinner for 1. Watched snow fall through the window. No carols. No shouting. No thankless meals cooked for teenagers who rolled their eyes at everything but their phones. Just silence. A gift I never thought to ask for. In late January, I heard from Clark again. He called instead of emailing. "You should see this," he said. He forwarded me a court filing, public record. Linda's name. Motion to compel support from biological father. Todd. The man who'd vanished. The man who never paid. The man who gifted Derek a watch and Savannah a fake necklace and called it parenting. Apparently, he wasn't responding. Linda was suing him. She needed back pay. Needed him to carry what I used to. The document included income statements, dependency claims, and one sentence that stuck with me. The minors have suffered a significant decrease in quality of life due to lack of ongoing support. They weren't minors anymore, but still the phrase landed. I had been their quality of life. Now they had to live with the drop. I didn't celebrate, didn't toast, didn't smile. This wasn't victory. It was consequence. And consequences don't throw parties. They leave receipts. Some nights I sit on the couch, reading. The clock ticks. The radiator hums. My phone stays silent. Sometimes I wonder if they talk about me. If Linda tries to soften the story. If Savannah defends that letter she sent. If Derek still tells his friends I just left. But I don't chase ghosts anymore. I used to build a life in the shape of their approval. Now I build in the shape of truth. And the truth is this. You can give everything to a family that never names you. You can bleed for a child who doesn't know your blood. You can stand in place of a father and be treated like a placeholder. But one day the body gives out. The spirit breaks. And the wallet closes. I wasn't angry. I was free. The people who once looked me in the eye and said, "You're nothing," now knew exactly what nothing used to pay for. And what it costs when he walks away. Quietly, legally, permanently. So now I ask you, all of you, whoever hears this, reads this, carries anything like this in your chest. Was I wrong? Was I cruel to withdraw what was never acknowledged? To finally say, enough? To make silence the answer they gave, and the answer they now receive? Would you have endured it? Would you have stayed? Or would you too have walked? And if you say you'd have stayed, I ask only this, for how long?